Okay.
Hello to all my divine beings, and welcome to this week's episode of Confessions of a New Age Goddess. As always, I'm the New Age Goddess herself, Melissa. Joining me today is Blanche Blacke, the owner of the Chakra Shoppe. Blanche is a practitioner that has many spiritual gifts to offer and will be sharing all she does with us in this episode. So Blanche, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa, for inviting me. You look like such a goddess this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. So Blanche, could you just kind of give us your own little intro on kind of who you are and what you do?
Wow. Okay. So I have been a spiritual goddess, if you will, for 25 years. After a near-death experience in 1993, where I really felt the reality and experienced that spiritual beings exist, that our spiritual soul essence and personality is eternal, and that this physical time space reality is our playground as spirit beings, and between our spirit and the physical world, that the spirit flows through all. And so after that experience, I was guided to my teacher, Joy Gardner Gordon, a healing gift. At the time, I was a rock and roller. I had a band on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, and wearing black leather, and my lifestyle was completely different, and working in television in Hollywood. And so the near-death experience really transformed my life in introducing a new desire in me to understand the spirit world, to help people on a soul level, because the soul is the driver of everything, from my experience. And so, there's no separation, soul, mind, body. I mean, it's all one, and we're all together. And like, how do you separate that? It's not one or the other. And so my journey began from that experience and learning about, how do you understand your spirit body? What is that? And I like to say we're not one personality. We have seven. We have seven, energy programs, like 7 radio stations going on at the same time within this physical body, connected to source energy. And so at any given time, we're either in harmony with ourselves, or one part of ourselves is in conflict with another. And so in 1995, I said, I want to make chakra a household word. And Chicago, really, a very few people knew the Western modality of chakra healing. Certainly the Hindu tradition focuses on the spirituality of it and correlates the chakra system to the gods and goddesses. And it's more of a religious, spiritual experience that's separated from physical life. And so my goal and purpose, and what I feel very proud of, is that my vision and purpose was to bring the essence of spirit into practical reality. How do you connect to your soul power to have the physical life work better? And essentially magically, through magic.
Mm-hmm.
And so so that focus has been the driving force of the past 25 years, and helping. And I used to say, I want to save the world one chakra system at a time.
I love that.
And so individual sessions really has been my focus, although I have created a program in teaching others who have a desire to help people in spiritual healing, to do chakra analysis and energy healing, and to understand the spirit body, and gifted students who've gone on to sort of take the ball and run with it from me. But I was told many years ago by a gifted psychic that I would not teach a great number of people. It wasn't about the numbers of people, but the quality of the teaching was the most important thing. So I love teaching people about their chakras. I love the dichotomy within my own self, certainly not perfect. Being in a human body, there are these 7 programs that are always running. And at any given time, one of them's like, oh, I have this podcast this morning with Melissa. And the other one's like, I'm tired. I want to stay in bed. And I don't really feel like getting up and doing this. And, oh, but I really am excited about doing this. And that's going to be really fun. And all these energies are always, sort of flowing at once. And so one of the things I like to teach people is, what is your highest value? What is the most important thing that drives all thought, action, and words, right? If you say, my highest value is caring for people, and in your personal relationships, you're constantly putting people down and not helpful in your personal relationships, there's a conflict and a dichotomy there that's, well, wait a minute, what's your highest value? And how can I apply this highest value everywhere? Right?
Yeah.
How can I do that?
Yeah.
And we are not victims. I'm like, oh, this happened to me and that happened to me. It's like, well, there's some program in there. There's some energy, even, and the craziest thing, and it really is, I've found so awe-making. I have one thought and it creates, right? One little thought can make a difference between a win and a not win. One little thought can make a difference between something really flowing and not. And sometimes our greatest enemy is ourselves,
Yeah.
How can I focus my thoughts, words, and deeds, and my spirit, essentially, into the world that I want to create for me? And one of the things I like to teach is personal responsibility. And it's not easy for me. We always want to blame the other guy. We always want to say, okay, you're the problem and you need to change this, and that's got to change in you, and I'm not happy with you, and whatever it is, whether it's the government or a friend or a lover or a family member, oh, they're making me feel bad. And Spirit's like, well, no, your feelings, your thoughts, your actions are really your responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're always, yes, you're not in control of outside circumstances, but you're always in control in how you respond. That's your power. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people forget that. And it's just like a gentle reminder that really does make all the difference, because to your point, one thought creates. So then we're always creating.
Exactly.
We're always creating. It might not be what we want.
And it's not like, oh my gosh. Right. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be the thought police every second, oh, I thought that thing. Oh no, and now what's going to happen? But it's like, for something important, the thought lined up with feeling has a powerful force. And then, miracles can happen around the positive direction of our own chakra energies. And understanding them is very valuable.
Yes.
And I love teaching about them. I love when someone comes with, a problem, a physical issue. Once it, I like to say that everything starts in the spirit. Okay, so whatever physical ailment somebody's feeling, whether it be a little tiny little pain or cancer, for example, it always starts in the soul, in the spiritual body. And so the sooner we catch it, the better life is. Then it won't be physicalized, you see. So once something is physicalized, it takes something to turn the energy around. It's more difficult. And it can be just something as simple as one thought and word combination. I don't want to live anymore. People say those things.
Yeah,
they do.
That's true.
I'm not happy. I wish I were dead. People do say those things, and they think those things. And then, well, if you're really projecting that, well, it's how can you be upset when, oh, I attracted that thing, but I said that. I was really feeling that. And so Spirit says the sooner we can catch, I mean, we all feel those kinds of things on occasion. You know, feel overwhelmed, feel unhappy, feel like our dreams aren't being manifested in the way we want them to. And so the sooner we can align with the positive of our life experience, the better it gets. You know, I'm in this wonderful relationship, and our relationships really are designed to reflect upon one another, our most intimate relationships. And so he and I mirror each other quite, you know, perfect. And
Yes.
so, you know, when he's behaving in ways that are my shadows, it's really up in my face. And so, the best use we can have of our relationships is to recognize, that person is showing me myself.
Yeah.
And why be upset with them? Let's think of the most positive thing we can about them, and and get some evolution within our own soul, our own growth. You know, they're teaching me to grow. Here I am, this eternal being in this time space reality. What do I want now? What do I want now?
Yeah.
And
And
so now is everything. It's in the now is everything. And I find myself going back to the vibrations of the past, my childhood fears coming up, the energy of my chakra system, the crystal kingdom helping me to bring forth the memories of the past that created the inner conflict programming. Wow, what do I really feel? What do I really want? You know, we can fool ourselves as well as other people.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I do. I always like to say that to people too, that, other people are mirrors of ourselves, especially our closest relationships, the people we spend the most time with, right?
Yeah.
And they're such good teachers. They are such good teachers. And, you could know maybe you have a negative trait, but when it's in your face and now it's
Yes.
annoying you, oh, now it's a bigger deal. Now maybe I really
Yeah,
do need to work on it. So I really do.
exactly.
I really
Yeah.
do love that. And yeah, the now is everything. The now is creation. And if we're living in the past, the future,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
It's not lining up.
It's not going to work
It's
out.
not lining up then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I find a lot of people have difficulty in lining up their chakra system in the present moment, because they fear they're going to get stuck somehow. So it's about some future that isn't even real. And so, well, what do you want now? It's like, how clear can we be about today? Right? Like yesterday, I got the second vaccination for
Mm-hmm.
Moderna vaccination, and I did. I woke up this morning and I was a little headachy. I felt, a little warm, and and the mind goes to all these places. It's like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, what if this horrible thing happens? And everybody does that, and I'm like, oh no, wait a minute. What do I want to happen? How do I want this to go? What do I want? And how can I line up, essentially all of my spirit body, those 7 different programs in the same direction, right? And
Yeah.
it takes something not to be sort of sucked into an old pattern of vibrational frequency of, oh no, this is going to hurt me, right? So it's like, nope, I want to be fine. I want everything great. I want to have my body well-being. I want my well-being. And so that's what needs to be lined up. So I got out of bed and lined it up. It's like, alrighty then.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like, how long were we beating that drum, right? How long were we beating that drum of a certain pattern? Because it's so much easier for me to decrease my speed if I'm going at 20 miles an hour than like 100 miles an hour. So, right. It's all about kind of bringing it back to maybe 0 point or wherever we need to be to reset to get onto this new vibration.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great. That was a very good summary, a good intro, because I know, trying to say what your message is and what your kind of mission is here, it's hard to really sum that up, especially when you've been doing what you've been doing for so long, but I think that really is such an important message to really educate people on the chakra systems so that they understand, you know, hey, if something's out of alignment, why is that? What's the emotion? What's the physical
Right.
ailment? And then they can really start the healing journey from there. Because if I don't know per se what's out of whack, how am I gonna know what to do to heal it? It's just, I feel like it's a missing part that kind of really pulls it all together. Okay, great. Yeah, so of course, as you know, the title of the podcast is Confessions of a New Age Goddess. So is there any, you know, juicy confessions you have for us or anything you'd like to share?
What do I want to confess? Well, I want to confess that while I do believe that I'm a master in teaching people about spirituality and the chakras and being their best and lining up their thoughts and having things work out the way they want them to, I still have patterns of unconscious behavior that are very human and are responses to childhood patterns. And they're and I say, oh, it's, you know, you just want to line up and then everything can shift magically. Wow, I say that, but I really have to confess that there are some things that are just very stubbornly still there. And it's like, my gosh, you know, I've been working on this thing and working on this thing, and there's got to be a different way to line up my energies to really allow for the shift that I'm wanting to make.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think that's why it's very helpful to have those you respect to help you line up your energies. You know, and sort of what I do for others is to you know, to try and do it all yourself. We have our blind spots, and so okay, these patterns are here. I'm embarrassed about them, and you know, people can judge and look, well, wow, how come she's so, you know, holier than thou and teaching about the chakras, and yet look at that over there, there's an issue with you know, this clutter over here, for example. And so it is a little embarrassing to still, you know, after all these years of healing myself and teaching others, that yeah, there's still more to shift and become better at.
Yeah, and I think that makes, you know, any practitioner really kind of more relatable, you know, like, oh, look at this, you know, this other person who they've been working on themselves, they're not perfect either. And then I feel like
Yeah,
that even makes others more willing to work with you because they feel like they can be more vulnerable. And I think being vulnerable with things I'm insecure about, things I want to work on, asking for help is the
yeah,
most courageous thing. So
yeah.
I think saying that even speaks volumes that you can still be humble and be a human, you know?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. Because
No.
it's true. Here I am, and oh, this thing is still the way it is. And you know, not that there hasn't been great strides, because there really has. I remember when I first opened up the Chakra Shop back in 2005. It's
Mhm.
our 15th anniversary now,
Oh, congrats.
and yeah, thank you, thank you. And so when I first opened up the shop, um, every room in the place was beautiful, pristine, decorated, ready to go, except for my treatment room.
Mm.
It was totally, I mean, unbelievably. The one room that I chose for myself to do my practice was completely filled with stuff all the way up to the ceiling. Like all the garbage from the construction, all that ended up in my treatment room. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of spiritual stuff in there that is causing that, you know, that I would choose that particular place at that time to sort of fill it up. And our childhood patterns cause those kinds of weird behaviors, and most of us are totally clueless as to, well, why do I do that? You know, you ever have that
Yeah.
experience?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Thing, and it's like,
yeah.
wait a minute, I did that again. Why did I do that? And it's totally unconscious. And it took me probably 7 years to determine the childhood issue that I was healing that caused that behavior.
Hmm.
And so it's not to be embarrassed about those things, because those kinds of behaviors are created for protection.
Yes.
And so it was some kind of unconscious protection that that I had.
Yes. And I feel like it could be, a whole platter of things, but I feel like that is a very common one with a lot of people because it is so unconscious and it is, so embedded
Right.
kind of in your system from young
Mhm.
on. And I think really
Yeah.
digging deep, you do discover it a lot of times. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I'm happy to say that after all this time, the room looks beautiful, and I'm very proud to be working in it.
Good. Happy to hear that. See, great strides.
Yeah.
That's evidence right
Yeah.
there. Okay, good. And then I mean, I think we kind of talked about this, but kind of how were you even introduced to the work you do? I know you spoke about your mentor, Joy.
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
say that was really the starting ground for you?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that because the starting ground really was, this is, when people say, I don't know my purpose in life, and I want to know what my true purpose is and what I want to do. We're born knowing. We're born knowing, and we're born to be who we came here to be. Our soul has chosen that. And so when I was 5 or 6 years old, my sister, after I'd been doing this work for about 10 years, had, come to me and said, wow, I just remembered something. And I said, what? When you were 5, you used to go around the park holding your hands over the plants and
Mm,
the squirrels and making all these chanting sounds. And she said, I asked you what you were doing, and you said, I'm singing the birds, I'm
mm,
singing the trees, I'm singing the flowers. And in every shamanic tradition, a healing is called a sing. And so each one of us comes in with uh, what we really are meant to be doing here. Now, it wasn't the only thing I was doing around 5 years old. I was also, singing and dancing and creating multimedia theater shows at that age.
mhm.
But right, but I was born to do it essentially. And when the time was right, my teacher came. And so, essentially, when she did her first vibrational healing, is what she called them. I call them chakra analysis and healing. But essentially, I was making all the sounds, and all the guidance was coming through me to do my own healing. And so she said, "Well, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you really have this gift, and I would be honored to teach you how to use it." And so, one of the things that I really have to stress that while someone may have a natural intuitive gift and be connected to spirit, that the spiritual world isn't any less um, delicate. It's not any less important for somebody to have training
Mhm.
because there's so much unknowable about it. And so those who have like one class in healing will go off and try to heal all their friends, and they don't know what they're going to do or bring up because training is very important. It's like a spiritual surgeon. You wouldn't go to have surgery with somebody who didn't graduate and
Right.
have training, right?
Right.
And similarly, people have the sense that because you can't see it, because it's spiritual, that it's somehow less important to be trained.
Mm,
And I apprenticed with my teacher for 5 years, and she taught me how to teach others. And I chose that because I really wanted to know what I was doing.
mhm,
And
mhm.
now, I do depossessions, spiritual healing, where it truly people have been possessed by another disembodied spirit, causing them trouble, and it's real, and it can be very scary if you're not trained to to deal with that. When you're doing hands-on healing, when you're sending somebody Reiki, when you're doing spiritual healing, it activates that spirit body, and so you just never know what's going to happen. I love my work. I love working with people. I never know what's going to happen. We start the healing, and there it shows up. Everything shows up, and it's I'm awed every time by humanity and the spirit world, which is very complicated. The other day, a woman came to me who had a disembodied spirit in her that was very nasty, and spoke in a different language and growled and, and it's like, well, I know how to deal with this. I've been trained and practiced, and I know how to deal with this. It's a spiritual issue. And we actually made some great headway in calming this. He didn't leave; he stayed with her, but it's much better now, and hopefully she'll come back, and we'll finally get him to leave. Because the body, it's a vessel for spirit, and the energy comes in. We can pick up somebody else's negative energy.
Oh yeah,
Not even ours.
Yep.
And so it's like, wow, I don't feel so good right now. Well, why is that? Oh, well, I'm picking up this over here. And so I guess I was born to do this. And fortunately, I found the right teacher at the right time to, and there was no going back. I mean, once she did her first session on me and said that, I quit my job in television. I let go of my apartment in Long Beach, and I went up north to Northern California to give it my all, give it 100%. And I look back now and I think, how did I have that courage? I'm like, it amazes me. It's like, wow, I just did that. I did that, and I guess it worked out.
Yeah, and I really can relate to your point that you do need a mentor, you do need training, because to your point, we are born with certain intuitive gifts, and it's how do I tap into that? It's how do I use it properly? It's when I face something and it's not something that I'm familiar with, how do I manage that so that I'm not doing something wrong and I'm giving my clients, the best service that I can to really create change? And I'm with you too. I get that all the time. Oh, well, I can't see what you're doing, or how do I know this is real, or I'm skeptical. And it's kind of like, I'm not here to convince anybody, I don't want to kind of impose that if someone's closed-minded, but it's a practice that I feel like needs to be respected. Even I'll respect someone else's thing, even if I don't completely understand it. It's respect over understanding always. Okay. Awesome. And then, I know you said you opened the Chakra Shop 15 years ago. And then what really, inspired you to open the shop itself?
Well, it's like I'm very much influenced these days by the Abraham material from Esther and Jerry Hicks. I aligned with that. And they say that life causes a new idea. And that the trouble that comes, the what they say, contrast that we suffer from, there's an opportunity on the other side. And so I was doing my work at Healing Earth Resources, one of the big spiritual centers here in Chicago, 25 years ago. And had been there at that time for about 10 years, teaching my classes, doing my sessions, part of the inner circle there at Healing Earth Resources. And that was run and owned by Dawn Silver, a great spiritual goddess herself. And so one day, there's several classrooms in that big space that they got. And I was teaching a fifth chakra workshop. And so next door was a spiritual meditation class. So fifth chakra is about opening up your throat and being in your truth and letting out the negative programming. And so one of the students in class that I was working with started to say a lot of swear words and scream. It's all this loud stuff coming out of them that day. And then Dawn pulled me aside and said, after the class, and said, "You can't be doing that here when we have our, meditation groups." And I said, "It's time for me to get my own place."
Yeah.
Right. So it's like that. And I never had that thought before. It just it's organic, and I think that's where a lot of people sort of get off track in life, is that they don't recognize that those things are the natural evolution of their soul and growth, rather than trying to figure it out. Oh, I want to create a business. Well, I want to be in business for myself. That's all an intellectual, mind F, like, okay, here we are now living life. What is life causing me to desire? That's an inner being soul level desire from my second chakra, a desire to have a space where I can make as much noise as I want. So
Yes.
it actually took about 3 years from that point to find the place. And in the meantime, I found another location where I could use the whole space on Sunday, and I taught, continued to teach classes at Healing Earth, but just different ones. And it grew from there. And then the idea evolved. Oh yeah, well now I want this, and now I want that, and one of the things that's important is to believe that those inner being desires are what you're supposed to do. Not, oh well, I don't know. What if it doesn't work? Well, no, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they kind of, to your point, they get into that business mindset and they just kind of take action just for the sake of taking action. But if it's not inspired action with the desire behind it, how high is it going to fly? You know, you kind of need that.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with action. I have to say that I err too much on the other side. My wonderful mate is an action guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, like, when something's up, he just goes for it and takes action. And he can be very pushy. And there's a middle ground there. I think he's too far on that side and I'm too far on the other. It's like, when it's time to take action, well, you got to take action.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just, meditate and have this desire and, well, Abraham says all I need to do is line up my frequencies. Well, but you got to take action. This is the physical world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a big law of attraction thing. To your point, a lot of people, they think, oh, I can just sit back and relax. It's like, no, action is a big part of it.
It sure is.
Yeah, just to your point, lining it up first.
Right. Well, yeah. And also having, the thought, the desire, and the action all lined up. Wow, I want that. I'm going to line my thoughts up so it lines up, and it creates, I'm going to create the best I can in the spirit world. And then when I'm moved to act, when it feels like I should act on this, that's the time to do it. Not like I should and I need to force myself. Well, if it's not inspired action, like you say, then it's not going to go very well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it happen. We've all been there. So it's another learning lesson too.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then, I know you have many spiritual gifts, but just to kind of emphasize one, I know one of them is mediumship. Can you just talk to me a little bit about that?
All right. So what mediumship is essentially, I'm a translator between the spirits and people. When somebody's suffering from the death of a loved one, or when they have spirits in their house that are difficult. The session is essentially like, contacting them and asking them to come. And they always do. The spirits who, they also feel the love. In my near-death experience, I remember feeling so awed that, wow, there's my body down there and I'm still me.
Yeah.
I felt totally my personality, my feelings. I wasn't changed. It wasn't suddenly like I'm becoming an angel. It's my personality was the same. And so it's the same with spirits that are disembodied. They're still who they are, And so it's interesting. Sometimes I'll have a mediumship session where a person is wanting to ask their loved one, well, what should I do with my life? Or they're asking these questions like, and then the loved one's like, well, I'm not psychic. What do you want to do with your life?
Yeah.
Or what is that they're asking questions as if suddenly the spirit who no longer has a body has gifts that they didn't have previously. Well, no, they're still them.
Yeah.
They're still the same. They're in a they're in a different frequency vibrationally. They're in a different realm, but the personality is still the same.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't change. And so they just don't have a vehicle to get around here in anymore. And so it really is, it's like a translating session. It's like the spirit speaking a language that the loved one can't hear or understand, but I can. I hear and understand them and translate. And often it's so interesting, people are skeptical. They want to test me. They want to say, well, is this real or not real? Right. And their loved ones really don't like it. It's like they show up. It's a big deal for them to come from the spirit world and essentially sit next to me. They sit next to me and speak in my ear.
Okay.
And then the person is like asking all these questions. Well, when's my birthday? Or like all these questions to try to prove that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And then the spirit's like, why are they asking me that question? They know their birthday. And then I say it to them. and there was this one session where the woman, the whole hour was her asking these kinds of questions. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that she doesn't really believe. Why sit with me to bring her mother here if she doesn't really believe? And so it was a wasted hour, absolutely wasted. She got nothing out of it. And the very last minute, the mother says, tell her on my birthday to go to the casino next year and spend $20. And the woman's mouth dropped. And she says, oh my gosh, I did that on her birthday this year.
See, yeah.
And then I said, well, your mom wants you to keep that as a tradition. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. And so it was a shame. She really lost the opportunity to have a one-on-one communication with her mother through me, essentially, as a translator. And what's really cool is that I do have a class called So You Want to Be a Medium at the Chakra Shoppe. I can teach other people how to use this gift, how to develop this gift, how to know when your telepathic ear is connecting to a spirit and when it's your mind just thinking. There's a way in which to know where the thinking thoughts are thinking and where the telepathic translation is coming into your aura. You can actually tell the difference. And so I teach people how to know that difference, to really know when they're being telepathic with the spirit world and when they are thinking their own thoughts. And so I teach a class like that, and we meet once a month with people who have taken the class to practice. And it's really cool when a whole group gets together and someone asks for a loved one to come. We each get the opportunity to ask somebody to come. And we ask a question, and all the participants get the same answer. Just in different ways.
Yeah.
We all have our own way of expression. So it may come out in a different way, but it's essentially the same. And so that's really confirming for people that, wow, this is real. Everybody got the same answer and nobody was talking. It was all telepathic.
Yeah. And I think when you get kind of to your point, when you can differentiate between this is really a message from a guide or my thinking, it's that discernment. It's that feeling of discernment. And I think when people learn that skill and get to that level, it kind of flows a little bit better from then on out.
Oh yeah. I this weekend we had an Akashic Records reading class. Lillian Irene Lovas is a master teacher in that. And I'm so blessed to be associated and have her as a colleague and friend for so long. But I love being the guinea pig of that class. I always go down there every time, and she has that class on the second day, and they read for me. And this weekend was really fun. And one of the participants it was like every time she got the message, she giggled, oh, it's working. She was like so excited that, she knew it wasn't her mind thinking. She got the really strong sense of the angelic communicating with her and giving her answers for me. And so it was delightful watching her go every time, delighted by the reality of what was happening.
Yeah, it's like Yeah, I mean, I just because I read the records, I know that it feels differently. You just
Yeah.
feel it, like in my chest. I can just feel like it's coming, yeah, from the angelic realm. It's coming from
Yes.
somewhere else. My
Yeah.
breathing gets different. It's just,
Mhm.
yeah, everyone probably has a little bit of a different feeling, but you know
Yeah. You know,
know when you're there.
not you. It's definitely another being with a high vibration, giving you high level guidance, and it's so important, and to trust that, to really trust that, and I love my man. I love him dearly, but it is difficult in that he's a very practical minded guy. He's the action oriented, practical guy, and which is a good balance for me. You know, it's a wonderful balance for me in my life. However, when I make important decisions, I do not go against guidance, and it causes some friction in our relationship because he might have his idea of what should be or what choice to make based on his mind, and I know. I get it. I get what's a right choice and what's a wrong choice. I get, what is in alignment and what's out of alignment. And if I have questions, I have great colleagues who I can go to and say, hey, I'm having a little bit of issue here. What's the better choice, A or B?
Yeah, right.
And they will, give me the guidance that I need.
Yeah, just to get like an extra dose of clarity so that, you can make an informed decision. It really does make all the difference. Okay,
Yeah, and I
awesome.
trust it. I trust it.
Yeah, I think that's another important part. A lot of people, maybe they don't have that level of trust yet. And then it's always kind of second guessing when it's like the information's right here. You just
Right.
need to kind of use it.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's where, really practice comes in, practice for your friends, practice for yourself, practice so you're so sure, sort of like a sports player being in the zone. When are you in the zone? When are you lined up with that connection, that source energy, that intuitive power, and really getting a sense of when you're in the pocket, when you're in the zone
yeah.
is important.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's getting there and then knowing what it feels like and being able to hold that space and just trusting.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, great. And then I'm obviously definitely want to touch on this just because you do own a brick and mortar shop,
Yes, yeah.
how have these COVID times really impacted your business and what adjustments have you made?
Ooh. Well, I tell you, I've for the past 25 years, I've done this work and had this place with complete faith,
Mhm.
and I do things quite differently. My wonderful partner is a businessman, and he has had a lot of training in business school, and I would say that I do things very differently, and I've always had this trust and faith in my ability to line up my vibration and have things happen and have magic happen. But it was really quite jarring last year around this time when this pandemic hit, and suddenly, the government has the right to force me to close my shop, and it really it challenged me a lot. Um, I try not to be in fear about it, and just every day, okay, now what? Now what do I do today? Now where do I focus my energy? How do I line myself up? And at one point, I have to say, I did go into a space of, do I still want to keep this up? Do I, after 15 years, I've been holding this space. We've been doing what we've been doing. It's been tremendously rewarding. And do I want to continue this work? Is essentially what I was thinking. In terms of running the Chakra Shop as a
Right.
place for people to find their tools and to take their classes and have sessions. I mean, I don't think I'll ever stop doing healing work. I mean, that is, I love that. And I can do that anywhere. I don't need to have a shop that has such a big retail presence in order to do that. But I think it was about a week I was thinking about it and meditating. And then I thought, do I still want to do this? Do I want to hold this space, this physical space for people? And I said, heck yeah. I didn't say heck though. Heck yeah. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And then, just by that decision, just by making your own decision about what you want the whole universe comes in to help you.
Yes.
And I started to get ideas about what to do, at that time when the shop was closed. Okay, well, now what? Now what do I do today? Now how do I keep this energy going? How do I focus my energy in a way that's productive and not get into the fear mode or get too confused? So it was that decision that caused all the energies of the cosmos to convene into really lining up. And so we've been open since June, and it's wonderful. The shop has become a hub again, even though we have, and it's really interesting, this whole social distancing thing. It really caused a lot of change in how the shop looked. Ideas came that, I didn't have before. And so we rearranged the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with the space now, and gone.
Yeah, sometimes.
So here we are.
Yeah, no, that's like a really great spin on it. And sometimes, yeah, you kind of, when you're forced to re-examine things, it's kind of like you can do a rebranding, if you will, and kind of see, hey, what can I enhance? It was working, it wasn't not working, so I never really touched it. But hey, now I can make it even better, and I wouldn't have done that otherwise. So I think that's really cool too. Okay, awesome. And then my next
right. And I have a tendency of just going along, and looking at things in terms of how to improve them.
Yes.
And can be a little bit daunted by the physical things sometimes. I'd rather just be in the spirit world and meditate and do that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's been fun and challenging in making these changes.
Yes. Okay, and then my next question was, and you can kind of give a little quick blurb for this, but just what's one quick tip you would give to an inspiring intuitive, a little advice snippet?
I think we actually already covered that.
Yeah.
Is to know that it's the world is big, and the spirit world is big and vast and real, and has its constraints and protocols, just like dealing with the physical body. There are ways to understand that world and to be knowledgeable and experienced and trained in dealing with it that are important. And that, aspiring intuitives really should find someone who they believe is a master, just in the old school way of apprenticeship. That's, and that's the way I did it. So maybe I'm just, speaking, from my experience. But it was very valuable to take the torch from a master and then expand on that. And the student always evolves past the teacher. But, not to think of oneself as a know-it-all. I'm still learning.
Right.
I'm still learning. And it delights me when I have readings from newbies who have just recently been taught, or some of my students. I so respect them and honor them. But we're always learning.
Yes, it never stops. I think if you stop learning, that's a problem. And I totally agree. I mean, I would be nowhere without my mentors. I'm very blessed that I got some early on, and I'm so thankful for them. And I know I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am without them. So I knew I needed them. And yeah, it's just so amazing how things have evolved, just working with different people who are very good at what they do. Awesome. And then yeah, I think the next thing I kind of wanted to go over, it's like a two-parter, but we can kind of combine it. So I think really what is your overall vision for your future, and really what do you want for humanity going forward?
That's a really good question. And I find I am really in the space right now of not exactly a crossroads, but a new time, and having to revision things, because for the past 25 years, it's been this particular vision that's now become realized. And the young people, the teenagers, the tweenagers are now, they've got it, right? They've got it. My dream and vision of having chakra be a household word 25 years ago has become real. And so, working towards that, that goal, that spiritual goal, it's like, okay, well, now that's happening. They're here. It's, more of humanity is lining up in that way. And now what, right? I'm in the now what. And so I don't want to come from manufacturing something from my mind. I want to have the new vision essentially be born from within, from my heart, and to know, well, what is it that I'm wanting, for myself primarily, and also for humanity, because a lot of them are there, they come in and, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're talking about spirit, and they're talking about the chakras, and they're excited about the crystals, and wow, I've been working with these guys for 25 years, and now there's more and more people lined up. So okay, that vision has been realized, and now what? I'm a little bit confused about that. I don't really know exactly how to refocus my energy in that way, because okay, that's been accomplished. Now what do I do? Now what do I do? And so the shop has expanded, and still holding the space for what I created out of nothing 15 years ago. And so here we are.
Yeah. And
So
I
that's
think
a good question, Melissa. You're going to have me thinking about that.
I think it's one of those questions where it's an unfolding. You kind of know where you're at. And then it's kind of like, to your point, revisioning it and seeing what comes from that. So it's kind of a continual question, if you will. So that's kind of a fun one. Yeah,
it is. And, right. And plus the pandemic has shifted the world so much. And, we are getting back to normal. That's a good thing to think about. But what is normal, right? We're in the new normal now.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
We're going to find out. We're all on this journey together, which is fun.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then just to kind of, get to our main point, to kind of sum things up a little bit. Did you want to talk a little bit about what the Crystal Kingdom is, just to let our audience know what that entails?
Okay, so our chakra system is a translator of energy, and vibrational energy comes from many sources. Comes from the sun that beams in the crown chakra and travels through the body and brings us light, right? The colors of light, the rainbow coming in. And the crystal kingdom is a rainbow under the ground. And the vibrational frequencies of the stones, just like different vitamins for the physical body, the energy of the stones give us a positive frequency from the earth energy, up. And so there's a rainbow under there for us to learn to understand and to use and to help us feel better. And there's thousands of them. I mean, I know a few hundred and what they do.
Yeah.
So that's another area of vastness that, I don't know if any one person could ever really understand and know each of the crystals and what they do. And I do feel it's important to have the experience of them, right? It's like, wow, you put and it's really cool in my classes. I teach Chakra Healing 101, and then it leads on to a bigger program. But my Chakra Healing 101 class, it's awesome that when we are working on a particular chakra, I would introduce a stone for that chakra and have a person, place it like on their heart, for example. And I won't tell them what the stone is. Well, I will. Oh, this is a rose quartz, for example. but I won't say what it does. And it's really amazing how everyone in class has the experience of what it does. Wow, I feel this love in my heart, or I feel this soft, gentle feeling, or, they have the experience of what the stone is known to do. And that is so awesome when someone says, wow, I pick up this rose quartz, I put it on my heart, and I'm actually having the experience of it doing what they say it will do.
Yeah, that's powerful.
It is powerful. And, and people ask me, well, how do you use the crystals? How do you use them? Well, you can have them in your house. You can meditate with them in your hands. You can hold them in different chakras where they belong to give you energy. I sleep with them often. I lay them in my bed alongside of me to give me energy while I'm sleeping. Sometimes they wake me up in the middle of the night. It's like, oh, there's that black tourmaline. Okay.
Wow.
But I think some of the younger folks that are coming into the shop these days excited about the crystals, and a sense that they feel like they're magic, and suddenly my whole life is going to be transformed and better because I use them. And it's actually true, but they need to be used in very focused ways in order to get the results you're wanting. It's to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
To have an intention for them is really a positive thing.
Yeah, and just even being knowledgeable on, what they do, what the different ones do, what chakras they correlate to. That's right there, a big step forward, I think, in terms of understanding. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, and now the stone Moldavite is very hot.
Oh,
everybody's calling up asking, do you have Moldavite? Do you have Moldavite? Do you have Moldavite? And Moldavite's always been a powerful stone, always been rare, but now it's even more rare. It's like, how do you get it? And Moldavite, what makes it so powerful is that it actually addresses 3 chakras at once. It's not primarily for one chakra. And so if you don't have Moldavite, you can, there's 3 stones that I've tuned into that it can actually do the same thing. There's a stone called green opal for the heart, and labradorite for 6th chakra, and black tourmaline for 1st. So used in combination, those 3 stones can give a similar to result that Moldavite would if you were wearing it. So, you can do an intentional healing on yourself using 3 stones to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's very valuable to tell people, because I myself recently got Moldavite, finally got my hands on a legitimate piece. And it really just sped things up, like people have been saying. I really had a unique experience from it. Just anything that wasn't meant for me, it left. And I kind of got pushed in towards the things that I need to do. The crystal found me. I had the intention for it to find me. And it is a very unique stone for sure. Cool. Okay, great.
Yeah, well, good for you.
Yes. I like to tell people, hey, it worked for me. If you guys can get your hands on it, please do. Or if you can't, that was a great suggestion too, using those other 3. I love that. Okay, good. All right. And then I think just to kind of sum things up, where can people find you on social media and your shop? Just kind of promote yourself.
Yes. Right. So you can find me at BlancheBlacke.com, BlancheBlacke.com, and Chakra Shoppe, ChakraShoppe.com, Chakrashoppe.com. We're on Facebook, and mostly. I don't do much on Instagram, and I probably should, but we are on Facebook. And Google us. The shop is open noon to 7, Wednesday through Saturday, and Sundays noon to 5. We continually get in new. We just got this great new shipment of crystals, like hundreds and hundreds of new stones. Tangerine Lumerian just came in. That's a wonderful stone that I haven't not seen until this pandemic hit last year. It's 15 years I've been dealing with these stones, and Tangerine Lumerian came in about really connecting with your desire and passion and relieving fear.
Wow.
So that's now at the shop, and 5034 North Lincoln Avenue. And the phone number is 773, and there's a phone ringing here, 773-271-3054.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And then I'm going to link everything in the description box as well for our audience members, so no worries there. And then Blanche, I want to thank you so much for coming. This was so really just inspiring, informational.
Thank you.
I'm sure our audience is really going to love it. And I really wanted to kind of, make sure anyone who doesn't know about you knows about you.
Thank you. Yay.
Yes. And then, yeah, as always, you guys can find me at thenewAgeGoddess.com, Instagram, thenewAgeGoddess _ after each word, Facebook, New Age Goddess. And you can book a session with me for Reiki or Akashic Records. I work both in person and remotely. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for this week's episode of Confessions of a New Age Goddess. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.